A couple of weeks back, Overclock has sent me this O11 Dynamic EVO, which we've done a video on the channel. Loads of different options for custom loops, water cooling, loads of support. You can even do an upright GPU as well. But as flexible as this case is, lian-li thought that you needed an even bigger one. So this is the XL, and I'll tell you all about it after I pay some bills. Looking for a laptop for the new school term? Acer's Predator Neo has you covered for all of your school and gaming needs. Powered by an Intel 13th Gen i7 processor and Nvidia RTX 4060 graphics, the Predator Neo has its performance on tap. Whether doing heavy CPU intensive schoolwork or playing your favourite games on its gorgeous 165Hz Quad HD screen, the Neo is always ready to perform. On the topic of games, you can also enjoy some of the latest and greatest games with the free month of Microsoft Game Pass included with select laptops and PCs, featuring titles such as Starfield, Forza Motorsport, Minecraft Legends and many more. Visit the link down below to learn more. Really thick package. I had to put the desk down to actually get it out because of the camera, but really dense foam on there. There's also an accessory box which we'll cover off in a minute as well. And there we have the O11 Dynamic EVO XL, 38% bigger than the standard EVO. You can get it in white and black. Pricing wise, the black one, the smaller EVO, is $179.99. The EVO XL is going to be $234.99 or $244.99 if you want a white edition. So yeah, it's certainly on the premium side, but once you see inside, you'll see exactly that it's aimed at those expensive custom loops. Before we get onto the case itself, let's look in the accessory box. So first of all, we've got a manual that tells you how to do everything for this case, how to disassemble every component. There's also another section that's if you're reversing the case, how to put everything in or take it out when it's in reverse. Quite handy because otherwise trying to work it out on a standard one when you're actually using it upside down could be quite tricky. We've got an accessory box with screws. Opening this up, we've also got a lian-li debower badge. They used to have this on the back of the case, but now they include it loose so you can stick it wherever you fancy. A little bit of information. Thank you for your PC purchase. Thank you Overclockers who actually sent this case out. Like I mentioned in the start, they sent me this one as well as the standard O11 Dynamic. I'll put their link in the description box below if you want to pick up anything to do with hardware. They're a really great place to source your stuff, great prices and a great selection as well. All the screws are in one bag. They have got a plastic bag in a bag, but it's also a resealable one, which is quite handy to have. Left hand side, we've got another cable management clip. I'll show you where these go on the back of the case in a little while. Then I've also got these little covers. And when I saw these on the site, I thought these were really clever. If you install a 360mm rad in the side of your case, these basically go either at the bottom or the top, or one at the bottom, one at the top, and it blocks off any air going through the gaps. So all the air is forced through the rad to give you a better temperature. Really quite cool. So there's a couple of those. We've got some zip ties in there as well. And then we've also got an anti-sag bracket in this box. This one screws into the actual motherboard slots. There's little standoffs included in the bag. And then you've got the adjustment, just a little push button to actually adjust the height. And then the actual bracket that the card will rest on will screw into these little holes here. That will take the weight of the card and it's easily just adjustable. So you can just push up your card, let go, and then it's locked in. The star of the show, the O11 Dynamic XL. First and foremost, I've just felt a dust filter, which is a side removable one. So runs the length of the case. Big old dust filter on this one. You can support 420mm radiators or 3 140mm fans in the top, side and the bottom. So yeah, certainly got the dust filters to match. So we'll start on the top, as we do need to take this off to actually remove the side panel anyway. There's a single thumb screw on the back which will then allow us to slide off the top panel. We have got a dust filter for any fans or anything you install into the top. Pull this out, just magnetic, so really easy to remove and clean. The bracket for your fans and rads on the top can be removed, so you can do everything outside of the case and put it in after. Seen this on quite a lot of cases now, it makes life a lot easier. There's another little thumb screw further back. If you take that off, then this is what you'll need to do if you want to actually reverse the case, because you'll take the feet off that are at the bottom with it in the standard configuration, then they'll go on the top using this little clip. It's actually got one at the bottom as well, which helps you take those feet off to then put it upside down. Flip it back over and then you're in the reverse mode. Quickly looking at the front, we have got an RGB light strip that runs down the side of the case here. There's also a power button which has a white static LED behind it. Just on the right angle we have got a reset button, then a mode for your LEDs for your fans that are in the case. There's also a colour control there as well. Right at the bottom we have got the I/O for the case. So we've got a USB Type-C, this is USB 3.2 Gen 2. Then we've got 4 USB 3 ports and then a headphone and microphone combi jack. If you're not keen with the I/O on the front of the case, you can also put it onto the side as well. So as you look at it, you'll see it on the right hand side, then also on the back if you'd rather put it there. There's also a screw here which we need to undo in order to take the tempered glass panel off. and then this will just come out, and then at an angle comes out and away. 4mm tempered glass as well, so really quite thick. Take it off the screw at the front of the case. We can now take off this front piece of tempered glass, again 4mm thick. You might think, why do you want to do that? Now you can actually take off the support bar so you can get a fully seamless look at the dual chamber case. So you'll see glass to glass rather than the little bar that goes down the middle. I think it will make a really nice panoramic view of the case without that in there. So I'll now show you how to take that out. We can access the top, bottom, and then the top and bottom screws on the front of the case. So now that support bar can come out, and I think it will look a lot better having both pieces of glass without this bar as kind of interrupting your view. I'll put a couple of pictures on the screen of people that have already done builds with this case for you to see how it looks. The thumbnail will probably have it without as well, because I think it just looks nicer. But yeah, really cool feature to do. And if you are going to take this somewhere, maybe you're going to drive to a LAN event or anything, do make sure you put that in beforehand, because the rigidity is a little bit compromised without it. So let's get into the case now. It feels like we've taken ages to get to this point, but there's just so much to talk about on this one. We've got support for E80X in our motherboard tray up to 280mm width, because you have got a little dive off here. You can do, like I said, up to 420mm radiators on this. And then you'll see the little sides as well, which is where you can connect those little panels that I mentioned, so it'll block off any air getting through, so it all goes through the radiator. Really do like that. Here we've also got some thumb screws, so you can take out the motherboard tray if you'd rather. Do everything you want and then put it in after the fact if you'd like to. I personally would just build straight into the case itself, but you do have more flexibility options as well, because if I tilt the case, you'll be able to see these little panels. We've got one there, and there's also one down at the bottom. You can take these out and move the positioning of the motherboard tray, so you can move it up a little bit or down. I'll actually put a little GIF that lian-li I've got on the screen to help you visualize what I mean. But it's especially handy if you're going to use double stacked radiators like this, so we've got push and pull. So putting that into the case, you'll see that clearance is getting a little bit tight, especially if you've got any RAM heat spreaders that are a little bit longer. You might get a little bit close there, but you can just bring that down a notch if you'd rather. Again, if you want to use like 40mm, 60mm thick radiators on the bottom of the case, then that also allows you a little bit more clearance, because you could potentially get a bit of clearance issues with front panel stuff and like USB 2 headers on the motherboard as well, so you can just bring it up a little bit instead. Also at the top you see there's one with a little bit of a spacer there as well. This means you can put 220mm rear fans if you want to. By standard you can also do 120, but you can add 2 in there if you want to. Little quick thing to note for anyone that's planning to use radiators in the bottom of the case that are going to be 130mm wide, not the standard 120mm, you do need to use an additional bracket that will support the 130mm width. The things around the motherboard tray, we've got some really nice grommets along the top. There's also some on the angle as well, so you can have your motherboard power, graphics card and everything coming through from this side. There's also some further ones at the bottom, big old long ones, and then some additional ones here. That'll be great for your like 12 volt high power cable to come up round. So in terms of clearance, you've got 460mm of space, so that's one of the biggest cards that's currently on the market, and you've got loads of room spare there as well. So even if you're putting like a reservoir in there, for example, you still got loads of room anyway. And then in terms of height for your graphics card cooler, you've got up to 167mm. A little bit smaller. I would have thought we'd see about 180, but you have to bear in mind this is a high-end case, so the majority of people I thought will use at least an AIO, if not going full custom loop, so they won't need quite as much height there anyway. So I think that's everything for inside. Now let's go on to the back of the case. You see here we've got a little bit of a different design for our PCIe expansion ports. So this one, we have some thumb screws to undo, and then this will open up a magnetic panel. And then you can simply take out your PCIe bracket, and then once you've finished using or changing whatever you want to do, just locks back into place. Not sure if that will help with the sag of the card, but you obviously do have that bracket that's included to counter that, but certainly faster than undoing screws each time. I don't know if you can quite see, there's 2 thumb screws at the top and 2 at the bottom. That's if you want to take your motherboard tray out. Then on the right hand side we have got the mount for our power supply, up to 220mm support on this model, and then we've got a couple of vents where the hard drives are going to go, which I'll show you on the back panel. Going on to the back of the case then, I haven't got the support bar enabled, by the way. I don't know if it's a thing that you shouldn't turn it upside down without that bar, so it's a very much cases do as I say, don't do as I do. But let's get into the back. Pull PIDs to take that panel off. Magnetic dust filters on the back of there, both sides, because obviously you've got the power supply to draw in air, so they're nicely filtered. So left hand side of the case, like I said, up to 420mm support for your radiators. You can take this out and adjust it round as well, so if you want to have more of the radiators and the fans inside the case, you can do so. In the middle we've got support for up to 3 2.5-inch drives. This is on a magnetic panel that just folds back. And we've got 2 drive cages. Both of these have got back plates on as well, so you can easily just slide your drives into those, and then you'll get the power and data cables that will run out, so they obviously just need to go into your motherboard rather than running a separate cable. So could be quite convenient for some. Other people may not use those, so you can obviously take them off if you don't want to use them. So lifting both those up, you can see all the cable channels that will come through. There's a little support for your power supply on there as well. Don't forget to put it with a fan to the back, so it's going to draw the fresh air in. Seems underneath we've got all of our front panel ones. So there's two USB 3 headers for the 4 ports on the front, USB type C, front panel audio. Quick side note, if you're going to do the case in reverse mode, so upside down, you will need an extension for this. Also SATA power for the RGB on the front of the case, and also an adjustable if you want to control it. Now at the start I mentioned the additional cable management bracket. Now you'll see on the case there's loads of these little holes everywhere. It's just a case of putting it down in and then pushing it over to lock it into place. So you can put cables underneath or Velcro tie them onto the top. You can also put it under the hard drive cage as well, some more spots under here. So if you wanted to remove that, you can also put some cables up through, so maybe the 8 pins for EPS and things like that. Certainly very flexible as well where you can put it, and it's nice to have an additional one because otherwise there isn't that many loops or anything to zip tie down to. That's now all put together, back without the support bar. I think it looks a lot better personally. So I'm looking forward to doing a build in this. What should we put in it? That's the question. I think it's just going to be the highest end stuff that I currently have to match the kind of pricing and things that come along with the case itself. But really flexible options as well. I definitely think a reverse build for this one. We've got loads of the AL140s, AL120s to put in it as well that Overclockers kindly sent as well. So we can kit it out with the fans, uni fans, and just put some mental hardware in it. But yeah, looking forward to that. Let me know what you think about the case down in the comments box below. Big thank you to Overclockers for sending this out for me to look at. I will leave the pricing and everything in the description box if you want to pick one up. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you all in the next one.